One reason I did this painting is I was actually kind of tired of seeing horse paintings. It usually would be a close-up of the horse and very detailed, yes. So in response, this is one of the reasons why I chose to do this painting, to give the viewer something more to see. One of my biggest goals in this painting was to establish a sense of depth and distance, and I did this by making the trees in the distance more on the cooler tone, and also the trees in the front more on the warmer and detailed side. This was a constant battle I had, and I actually had to rework the trees many times, especially in the distance, to make sure they recede. The trees were quite fun to do, but in all seriousness, I was very careful how I created them. For example, I built the trunks and branches of some trees, and then in the end, I added the leaves. And something I've really paid attention to is the lights and darks. Though a lot of people will probably think this is a realistic painting or mainly something that will be categorized as realism, I think it's also a hybrid of impressionism. And proof is how I do a lot of the color layering. It's little dots and strokes of color with my paintbrush over and over again. As for the grass, patience is my best advice, and also to pay attention to the different shades of grass. Some stick out in the light, some are in the dark, and also you have to try to establish a sense of depth. That's why you want to blur some and have some sharp, especially the ones that recede. But again, patience and lots of layering. And also different colors too. Even on some individual blades of grass, you'll see multiple colors. Probably the most fun I've ever had in painting is probably the snow. What I loved is the different colors and how I try to capture as many as possible. Not only that, but I went thicker in some areas to make the snow stand out more. The white is not just white. Look very carefully in snow if you ever get a chance. Or in a photograph of snow, look very carefully. You will see many shades of colors. Blues, oranges, yellows, just about every color in the spectrum, but obviously more on the whitish tone. To paint snow very accurately, besides the different shades of white, you have to understand the properties of it. It's also translucent and has texture, and in some ways you have to kind of capture it while painting. To establish depth, I had to make sure that this bush that was in front was actually as detailed as possible, so I spent quite a bit of time actually layering each little leaf. Again, I didn't follow the photograph accurately, but I did follow it in a way where I laid down specific branches and then paid attention to the different tones of green, dark greens, and also very bright greens, especially the areas where the sun hit it. But one thing I want to point out is the green is not green out of the tube. It's a combination of viridian, but also mostly cobalt and yellow, and also cerulean and yellow, and the yellows are cadmium yellow to be more clear. the horses are on the darker tone, but there's many different shades of black. And to be honest, I exaggerated on these because in the photo they looked more like silhouettes and I wanted them to pop out more. So I added as many different variations of tone as I could see. I would look at the photos very carefully, and I had other reference photos of the same horses, and that's how I established all these different tones of darker reds, darker pinks, orange, and yellow. Oh, I didn't use brown, by the way, or black for that matter. I'll be honest, I struggled with the legs to the point where I kind of ignored them for a very long time. I don't know what it is, but I believe I just planted them in the wrong area. But in the end I went back in them and corrected them, and also blended them in a little more of the snow so they could stand out. But if anything, they were the thing that frustrated me the most about the horses. As you could tell from this video, you can see that I spent quite a bit of time on the snow and the background and all the little details that you could see. I am always a believer to have equal weight of importance in the background as a subject matter, and I kind of wanted the painting to be a snow scenery that just happened to have horses, not a horse painting in the snow. Plus, ultimately, I want people to stare at this painting and look very carefully to see how many things they could spot. Can you guess how many horses there are? Or how many trees? I'm just kidding. About the tree part. If you made it to the end, thank you for watching. Just so you know, the painting is actually complete, but I have not done the time-lapse videos yet. So stay tuned for more. Once again, my name is Charles Lambos. I go by Bob. I am not your typical painter. And if you want to see the final image, check out my Instagram, Not Your Typical Painter again.